Hello, good afternoon. So this will be the continuation of the discussion regarding regression and correlation. So which is we will focus more on the regression analysis. So to continue, you all know that dependent, just a little recap of what the discussion earlier regarding this topic. So we have the independent variable and then dv is the dependent variable. Okay, so the effect is the dependent variable, which is the cause or the independent variable. So when we say independent variable, these are the variable that is liable to change. So it is independent, with it doesn't have any effect on the other variables in the problem or in the study because it is changeable. So let's say, for example, some of the variable that is example for independent variable are the age, the status, the sex, or as long as it is changeable, it varies, and it is actually the cause of whatever the results for the dependent variable. Whereas the dependent variable are those variable that is the result of the cause of the independent variable. Okay, so this is the output of the dependent variable depends on the independent variable, the result of the independent variable. Okay, so there are 10 relationships to consider. I have discussed that earlier already. So we have uh, 10 relationships to consider with this example. And uh, what we are trying to discuss on this figure is that when you come up with a study, you better make sure that the independent variables or the set of independent variable that you are trying to input in your study, make sure that they are actually contributed with each other, although they are independent with each other, but somehow they are helping each other to come up with a better result or to come up with a better output, which is a dependent variable. So the ideal is for all the independent variables to be correlated with the dependent variable, but not with each other. So as I have explained in my previous video that, let's say for example, if you're trying to predict what age that the person will probably or will have the diabetes or will become diabetic, the dependent variable mostly are the age, the lifestyle of the person, the status, and then the status and so many other profiles. So those profile of a person must be correlated or must be somehow contributed with each other, but they are independent with each other. But somehow, if you come across or if you make it as input in your model or input in your study, somehow it will make probably it can give you a high level of accuracy. Okay, so this discussion or video discussion will introduce to you a simple multiple regression using a Microsoft Excel. So here we have this multiple regression model. So this is the formula in making the model using the Microsoft Excel. So we have the y is considered to be the dependent variable or the effect of the study, while the coefficient coefficient 0, we all know that coefficient, what the coefficient is actually here. We have discussed this actually last meeting. So coefficient, just a little review. So coefficient is the number used to multiply a variable. So z is the variable which is vary or it changes, while the 6 is the coefficient. So in cases that there is no number with the variable, so the default is the coefficient is 1. So here, b is the coefficient, whereas the, okay, so b is the coefficient is 0 plus coefficient 1. Variable is x, and then we have b2, x2 plus, and so on and so forth. And we also have the e or the intercept error. and these are also multiple regression equation and the estimated multiple regression equation. Now, earlier we have an example regarding the independent and dependent variable. So we need to perform, or we are going to perform a multiple regression to predict a grade on exam grade on exam of a student, includes as indicators or predictors the hours studied, the overall GPA, and age. So that's why we call it multiple, because we have two or more independent variable and then one dependent variable. Earlier I was giving you an example regarding this one, regarding example about dependent and independent variable, which is in a study to determine how long a student sleeps affects test scores. The independent variable is the length of time spent sleeping, while the dependent variable is the test score. Somehow it is related, but this is by rate or simple line regression, whereas this one is a multiple regression because it involves two or more variable. In this case, so we have uh, grade of exam. This grade of exam is actually our dependent variable, while the predictors, or we call it variables, are the hours studied, the overall GPA, the age, and then so on and so forth. The gender, the credits, and the hours working. But we will focus more on these three variable: the hours studied, the overall GPA, or the grade percentage average, or something like that. So when you say GPA, manggod, it is your grade. Mura siya og kanang when you're in high school. So this is the total grade average you have accumulated. Okay, and then we have the age. So these three are actually dependent. They will somehow contributed to whatever will be, or what will be the result of the grade exam, depending kung pila mo ka oras ni nagstudy, pila inyong overall GPA, and then pila inyong edad. Okay, because some of the student will actually study the whole night, some will only study 1 hour, some will only study 2 hours. Magdepende na siya. Depende po na siya sa imong overall GPA and then edad. So this will somehow predict if these variables or independent variables that are studied, the overall GPA and age, if this changes, what will be the grades on the exam? So see, effect na to is the grade on exam, the causes will be the hours studied, the overall GPA, and then the age. Okay, so then you can actually try this in your Microsoft Excel if you have Microsoft Excel at home. And then, so again, Y is the dependent variable, while the grade on exam, the hours studied, the overall GPA, and then the age. So this X1, X2, X3 are actually our variable, which will be inputted in our multiple regression model. This one here, the X1, the X2, and so on and so forth. So for now, so in this problem, or in this study, we're actually having three variable. So this is a multiple regression model. So the Y is the grade of exam, is a dependent. The X1, X2, X3 are actually our independent variable, or a variable that changes or varies. So when you are going to have your Microsoft Excel, this is just a simple model. This is actually what a model looks like when it comes, or when using a Microsoft Excel. So when you are in your Microsoft Excel, all you need to do is to click the data tab on the ribbon, or in the menu, in the upper menu tab. You click the data, and then after clicking the data, basta na ana mo'y nakasulat diri nga mga data, whatever your study will be. So in this case, kanilang atong study. Data analysis, here when you click the data, and then naay mo gawas diri nga group somehow, and then naay data analysis diri. You choose sa drop down menu, you choose regression under analysis tools, and then you click OK. So this one are actually given. So we are going to make this as a model. So gi-feed na to ni siya og mga data. If you can still remember, the model works if naatay i-feed nga mga data, because by feeding the data, the model will train itself to know para matrain siya to give you a level of accuracy when it comes to predicting or analyzing your study. So by here, naatay 20 ka data sets. Naatay 20 ka data sets with different values. So mo na tawag na to nga data sets because these are the data, but each data are actually have different sets. So data sets siya. So mao ni siya atong data sets. So we have 20 data sets that is being fed sa ato ang model. So naatay edad nga 22, 20, 23, and so on and so forth. And then lahi-lahi ang hours studied nila na usa ka estudyante with the age of 22 na siya 2 hours to study before the exam. Na siya 2.68 nga overall GPA. And then, however, ang grade sa iyang exam is 69. And then we also have kanisi 98. 9 hours siya mag-study. And then siya overall GPA nga 3.62. So this is quite gamay compared sa kaning 2 hours nag-study. And then ang age niya is 20. However, because he studied 9 hours, maybe that's why he got 98 grade on exam. And then we also have 76. He only studied 5 hours. Na siya overall nga GPA nga 2.53 and then his age is 21. However, he got 76 grade on exam. However, by doing this model, we will analyze or we will predict what will be your score if given this situation, given this value of your independent variable. Okay, so if naana ka sa data and then you have the data analysis group and then you choose regression as your analysis tools and then click okay, we're good to go. So the next one is to that one data analysis and then you choose regression and then you click okay. Okay. So here mogawas ni siya nga mo pop up ni siya nga menu and then all you need to do is to input the y range. We know that y is our dependent variable. So by clicking the B, this is the B, and then 1 and then 21. So mao ni siya atong gitawag nga cell. So we have B sa y nato and then we choose up to 21. So this is our matawag na to nga dependent variable. However, for the input x range, which are our independent variable, we're gonna start by C. And then we will choose C to E. Di ba makita ninyo, no? Sorry. Makita ninyo ni C. C, D, E. So C, D, E, 1 up to 21. So these three will be inputted as X range. So CDE, C is to E from 1 to 21. Okay? And then, of course, the label will be select label, and then confidence level is 95. So this is most likely the level of accuracy. And then the output range, ang answer ani will be answered in the J here and then S1. Okay, so when you click OK, select output options, output range, so that will be the J and 1. So, mo ni siya summary output. So, this will be your summary output for your model. So, mo ni ang model na gigamit nimo. If you can still remember the multiple regression model, ang ato ang coefficient is actually naka-formula pa siya. However, these are our coefficient already, which will be being multiplied by our variable. So, ang ato ang regression model, atong regression model nato nga formula will be kanina siya ibutang. This will be uses as our value, especially with our formula. Now, this is the formula. So y is a dependent variable, and then b will be our coefficient. This will be replaced by these values. So here, BO is the intercept, which will be 41.309 here, and then B1, which is the hours studied, will be the 4.3159 or 4.093. And then si B2, this one, si B2, will be the 4.971. So, moonin ni atong mga values nga atong i-replace aning atong mga coefficient, which is divided by our variable. So, ang variable nato, since na-train na nato ato ang model with those values katong atong gipakita ganina, we will somehow input a sample independent variable that we can think of para maka-predict siya what will be the grade on an exam if mao ni given nga mga independent variable. So let's say for example, and then of course the B3 or the age is 0.99 equivalent. So let's say for example, mo na ni ato ang model karon. So we have 49.309 for the intercept or the BO. We have 4.093. X1 wala pa tay gihatag nga independent variable. We have 4.972 as our overall GPA, and then for the age we have 0.099 X3 or the variable. Okay, so let's say for example, number one. So since our model is also ready, the model is being fed with the 22 set data sets, and I think by that set we can actually predict somehow given this independent variable. Okay, so the example number one will be, what is the predicted grade for a 23-year-old with an overall GPA of 2.4 who studied for 3 hours. So 'di ba ang X1 nato is actually the X1 is the hour studied, overall GPA and age. So for here, Y is the grade on exam again, and then X1 is the hour studied. So we have 3. And then we have X2, overall GPA of the 21-year-old is 2.4, and then the age is 23. So all you need to do is to replace the value of the independent variable. So this is what will being replaced with the number. So we have the grade on exam or the dependent variable is equals to the coefficient, the 41.309 as the intercept, and then we also have the 4.093 times 3, which is the hour studied, plus the 4.972 times 2.4 for the overall GPA, and then we have the 0.099 or the 23 as the age of the 23 years old. So if we are going to compute this one, added all those numbers or those values, our grade on exam must be probably 67.7978. So kung mo predict ta or mo analyze ta og edad nga 23 years old na asay overall GPA or the grade percentage average of 2.4 nga nag-study ra og 3 hours, most probably ang makuha niya sa exam is 67.7978. So mao na siya. Ang mao na siya ang purpose sa model. So mo predict siya, mo analyze siya using the data set nga imong gi-fed. So i-train na nato ato ang model by giving him data sets that will somehow predict whatever the independent variable nga gusto nimo i-input. So this is quite really is helpful when it comes to analyzing what will be the scenario given this independent variable or given this variable or situation. So here, example number 2. What is the predictive grade of a 21-year-old with an overall GPA of 2.9 who studied 5 hours? So for this, I want you to compute using the formula, and the answer will be 78.2718. But I want you to compute at least. Compute. So our Y will be the grade on exam. X1, what will be the X1? That will be 5 hours. Our overall GPA will be 2.9, and then our age is 21. So you have to replace all the coefficient, or you have to replace all the independent variable, the X1, the X2, and the X3, so that you can come out with the 78.27.18. So the following slides will be on the understanding what the coefficient mean. So this one will be the y-intercept. So this is the value of y when all of the x are 0. and then slope for hours studied. So this is the expected increase in grade corresponding to 1 hour in increase. So these are just explanation of what the result, or what is the value that is being ni outcome siya after making the model. So we also have slope for overall GPA. This is the expected increase in grade corresponding to one unit increase in overall GPA when the other independent variables do not change. Now, slope for age, this is the expected increase in grade corresponding to a 1 year increase in age when the other independent variable do not change. So these are actually the explanation of the model that came out after feeding, or after input, nag-input ka atong mga data sets that data, 20 different data sets. And then these are the explanations of those values in the multiple regression model. And then these are the output, the summary output. So we have the coefficient, and then we also have the ANOVA. So actually, these values came out after making those data. So automatic na si multiple imuhang model that is being with your Microsoft Excel na tools, sila na ni provide ani by giving those data sets. Okay? So if you can still remember, di ba, nag-discuss kog R-square, adjusted R-square, katong pagkuha sa variance or the variation. Kadtong this one here, this is actually, kani siya, although this is being computed automatically by the Excel, pero katong gimension nako earlier with the previous discussion, mo ano siya gitawag na to nga mga mean squared and then the sum of squared or divided by the number of n. So mo ano siya example if imong i-manual or imo itinamban, but actually automatically it will give you this result when it comes to regression using Microsoft Excel. So correlation coefficient, so 1 here. So these are the explanation of the variation under the variable. Adjusted R squared adjust. Because here, manggod, as much as possible, we will make it, dili na to a negative ang value, because if you can still remember, we need to adjust or i-squared root na to siya for us to be able to come up with a positive number. Okay? So we also have here the observation. This is our sample size. So if you can still remember, natay 20 ka data sets. So mo ni atong observation, mo ni atong sample size, the 20 with different hour study, GPA, and then age. Mo tong 20 na to ka sample size. And then hypothesis test of significance for the individual parameters. So these are the explanations of the model that we created. So mao ni siya ang hypothesis tests for B1 or the coefficient 1. This one, our study is 2.596, value A, reject H, or the hypothesis. So there is a significant relationship between numbers of hours studied and grade and exam. I don't want you to lose sa kadtong mawa mo focus on the model that we created using the variables that somehow i-predict niya for the level of accuracy. So these are just explanations. So in a way, these number are actually being automatically came out after computing the model. So these are the references. You can check this out. These are the YouTube references that I made, that that my resources or sources. So here again, I want you to comment on this through this video. Kanisha, what if kanisha nga computation. Wait a minute. Actually, there are a lot of tools for you to be able to come up with a model. So naatay gitawag nga rapid miner, naatay gitawag nga MATLAB. Those are actually very easy to use as well. But I just want you to use basic lang on sa the Excel. At least if because MATLAB is actually, you need to get it licensed. Although na ay mga free trial, but mo subscribe ka ana, and then I think it costs monthly siguro nga subscription. At least diri sa Excel, you can use it. it's basic, and then it's easily available compared to MATLAB. And then we also have Rapid Miner, although you can download the Rapid Miner, but I think it's quite heavy. And then later on we will make it sure that we can also study Rapid Miner, and then Rapid Miner, and then MATLAB. But for now, we will use the basic and the easily accessible or available tools that we can use. So this one, again, so I want you to comment on this in the video. What is the predicted grade of a 21-year-old with an overall GPA of 2.9 who studied 5 hours? So what is the given, and then how did you come up with the 78.27? So this is very easy. The answer is already given to you. I hope you understand the concept about modeling and simulation. So what we are doing actually is we created a model, and then we simulate it by using the values, or by using the independent variable that varies or that changes. So once you input Mangood different independent variable, somehow it can give you analysis, or it can give you prediction, although it's not. That's why it called prediction, and that's why it called analysis, because it's not really 100% perfect. Meaning to say, kadtong value nga na-predict, or katong value nga na-analyze using the model that you created is actually prediction ra na siya. But because you are just depende ra man gud na sa imong sample size, depende na siya sa data set that you inputted into your model. So I hope whatever questions you have, or difficulty or confusions that you, as you go along with this topic, don't hesitate to message me. And then just akuan lang sad, the next topic that I'm going to discuss, or the next model that I'm going to discuss, will be the decision tree analysis. So after regression, decision tree analysis. After decision tree analysis, if still have much time, then we can have the Bayesian. So these three, at least I will give you three most common data tasks that you can use for your proposal. Okay, so thank you, and I hope you understand a little bit. And then for questions or clarifications, please just don't hesitate to